Okay guys, pre-release box opening this shit. Know how we do.
If you pull anything good on TV,
I don't rate
just gotta let you know.
Deck box. 6 packs. Oh my god. Okay, which pack do I save for last pack magic?
Mummy.
Did you say mummy?
Mummy pack. Mummy.
There's two
Come
of
on,
them.
man.
Mummy pack.
Okay, last pack magic.
Oh, I got a camel cut as well.
Guys, what are we gonna pull in this one?
Oh, I want his pack.
Oh, I got one pack there.
Yo, can I open this? Oh my god.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I was so struggling.
Yeah.
Put it in the bag.
Holy shit, guys, we got the Mandalorian, Hyperspace, Foil,
This can be.
and Moff Gideon. Oh my god. Okay, apparently I'm just struggling opening packs today.
Dude, I was as well.
Yeah.
They've changed something.
Okay. Okay, it's so one though. First pack, Hyperspace, Jabba. My goat, my goat. We got a base,
Oh, I know.
red. Okay, we're gonna run the grid method. Remember, guys. Got red, heroic,
Right, I need
green
to
villainy.
stuff now, see what I've got.
Run the bases to the side.
So I'm just gonna put my blue,
Blue villainy, red,
red, green.
blue, black.
I got red, green, and
What is this? Oh yeah, yellow hero. I'm slow on the sorting today. I do apologize.
I think they're not smuggled out.
I did right actually.
Ooh, little Hyperspace Millennium Falcon action. It's not a legendary, it's a common. I was wrong. I thought it was.
Wow. I lied.
Yeah. Lom Pike. Yo, League of Legends.
Yo.
And I got a tree guy.
Right, let's check this in the bin. Keep going.
Okay, not starting too hot.
Yeah, mate.
Callum, do you need it?
Fennec.
Oh, locked.
Hyperspace base. Okay. Red, black. Wait, I said red, it's green. Twin Pod Clown Car. Toot toot. Okay, this card is good. Oh, okay. Okay, we can take those. Little Hyperspace, second chance. It's a legendary. It's not a very good one, but it's a legendary. Okay. Into Endless Legion. 2 legendaries in a pack. It's weird that we had a... Yeah, I've not seen that before. But we take those. I mean, neither of those are going to be playable in pre-release, but it's good pulls. Hunter's funny. I don't know if he's actually good in pre-release. Deploying at 7 is late, to be honest. Deploying at 7 is late. Red hand is really good. Yo, I got another Jabba. Okay, we're rolling in money today. Jabba, my goat. Hyperspace one at the top, obviously. Yeah. Reputable Hunter. Oh, this card.
Good card.
This card, one of my favorites.
But you have to have plenty though.
Hyperspace Jabba, bro. Just give him bounty.
Alright, you can figure out what.
Ooh, Hyperspace Desperate Attack. Clan Saxon Gauntlet. Nice, nice, nice.
Oh, it's Gauntlet. Oh,
Yeah, red black card. Another generic Omega. And a Hyperspace Foil 3/5. Actually, not bad for sealed.
Anything is free.
Yeah, 3 mana 3/5 is a pretty good stat line. Oh, I got the Boba. I've pulled almost all green leaders.
I got the red leader.
Yeah, I might be playing green. Just out of necessity at this point.
I have 2 surprise strikes.
Wait, this is blue black.
yeah, I want to play
2 surprise strikes. Ah. Yeah, no. I'll probably live. Enfys Nest. That's the guy on the map that I got. Okay, I got Jabba's Rancor. We might just be playing Jabba.
I got ready.
Hot shot. Something or other. Tacto.
And out tanks as well. I got two out tanks. I'm so supposed to use
Dude, I got my leaders. Jabba, Jabba, Boba, Boba. I'm playing green, I guess. Little hyperspace thing.
Yo, I'm gonna miss it.
Bad. Double red. Oh, another Millennium Falcon. Oh, Dr. Evazan.
I can afford that.
And another long pipe.
That's actually.
But imagine doing this.
Last
and then
pack
just
magic.
stealing all
Last
the
pack
ammo.
magic.
This is a joke.
A non-green leader, no way. No way I got a non-green leader, what the fuck? Okay, Rival's full, that's a good card.
If you find your legendary,
Yeah, I got two.
what'd you get?
I got a hyperspace second chance,
Nice.
and then I got the 14 mana, play all your units and resource.
You're gonna do it right.
Oh
It's
yeah,
going in there right.
oh yeah. I mean, I have to play green pretty much.
Yeah.
I have 4 green leaders. Okay, this is a good card. What's up, guys? It's the new sensation, BigOnotation here, or Ollie from the Nexus podcast, depending on which channel this ends up being uploaded to. And today I'm just going to be walking through my general thoughts for my deck building process when it came to the pre-release I've just come home from. And I did manage to end up building a deck that took me to a 5-0 finish, so undefeated. I won the whole event. And I didn't even drop a single game throughout all 5 of the best of 3s, so for the clickbait purposes of the YouTube title, we'll probably put 10-0 in there, because it is technically 10-0, but yeah, it was over the course of 5 best of 3 rounds. And I just want to take you guys through my thought process, because it's pre-release weekend and pre-release week, and so I think it'll be helpful to get that sort of information out there, and we've also been covering it quite a lot in the Nexus podcast episodes as well. So it, yeah, I think it'll just be useful information. So as you can see here, I've gone through my packs, which you should have either seen at the start of this video, or there'll be some YouTube shorts, or a little mix of both with my pack openings in. So if you haven't seen those, do check them out if they end up being shorts. If not, you've probably already seen them at the start of the video, we'll see. But yeah, as you can see here, we've opened our packs and I've sorted the cards into the grid method that we were talking about on the podcast. It is quite funny that me and Krish ended up just so happening to be using the same exact method when it came to sealed events. And I think we both tend to do pretty well when it comes to sealed, so it's no coincidence. This method is, you know, the real deal. It just simplifies things so much easier. So, you know, we've got everything split up into the different colors there. You can see we've got the single aspect cards at the top, red, blue, yellow, and then green. And then the heroism aspect cards just underneath, and then the villainy cards just under that. And then a little stack of the generic cards mixed in with just the single aspect heroism and villainy cards to the bottom left there as well, because they're not going to be cards that we build around or anything. They're just going to be like our 28th to 30th cards that fill up the last couple slots and might be decent statted units sort of thing. So looking at my options here and looking at the leaders specifically, because the main portion of this sort of deck building process is going to be deciding your colors and your leaders. And the main restriction on the colors that you can play is going to be the leaders, as you can play any base that you want in this sealed. So looking at my leader options, I actually pulled 2 copies of Jabba, which is not ideal, obviously. It just means I have 1 less leader option that I could have had. And I had 2 copies of Boba, again, not ideal. We've obviously got the Mandalorian and Moff Gideon from their pre-release, and then I got Fennec and Gar Saxon, he is called. So a couple of different options, no red leader unfortunately, and 2 duplicates is not great because it just restricts the options. But just taking a look at the leader options on their own, Jabba is really hard to make work in sealed in my opinion. Deploying at 7 is super late, a 212 is not going to trade into much at that point especially, The bounty effect is really nice, and there's a lot of good synergies you can have when it comes to this set. So if you pull really bounty synergistic stuff, then it could maybe work. And obviously the capture is pretty nice as well, especially if you can capture a big unit under another big unit. But overall, it's on its own quite tricky to make work in Sealed, in my opinion. However, when we look at the other green leader that we pulled, Boba, I think that card is really strong in Sealed, and in general it's just a great leader. Being able to give +1 attack is going to give great value to sentinels, ambushes, shields, and just in general any unit that you can attack with already. And yeah, +1 attack every turn is a big thing in Sealed. Plus a 6 resource deploy is not too late, and when he deploys he's going to be a menace on the board as well. He's got decent stats too. When it comes to Fennec, I think that Fennec has decent... it's decent in Sealed. The effect is really strong, being able to give cheap units ambush so that you can take some really favourable trades and trigger some nice on attacks. It is a bit more expensive obviously because you have to pay 1 for it, which isn't great. It does kind of mean that you're playing behind curve if you want to take the favourable trades. And then the main thing I don't like about the leader, even though it does deploy at 5, which is nice and early, it's a 4/4, which in my opinion is not good stats for Sealed. You're going to have like some decent on attack triggers to take advantage of her skill, in my opinion, to really make her work, because I think the leader deploy is a little bit too underwhelming. But if you have some decent on attacks, or you have some decent early drops that you can get some value by trading in, maybe some shields and stuff, then she can be pretty good. Gar Saxon is, again, a little bit situational. If you have some early shields to make use of his effect, then he is going to be great to get the upgrades going. Generally, running upgrades as their own cards is not very good because they cost a card for you to play as well as, you know, the mana cost. And generally you want to be having most of your cards as like units or ways to remove your opponent's units. Otherwise it can feel pretty bad, like beefing up this one guy and then it just gets hit by a rival's call or something, which, you know, it's not constructed, so it's not guaranteed to happen, but it's still a card that they can have in this set. But in general, if you can get some good shields going, then Gar Saxon is pretty good. And again, deploying at 6 for a 4/7 is some pretty solid stats. And Moff Gideon and Mandalorian are both good in their own right as well. When it comes to pre-release leaders, I think that just depends on what cards you pull. So taking a look at some of the cards I pulled, and you can see me having a little look through the cards here as well if you haven't seen the packs. When it comes to the single aspect green cards, they're not too strong, to be honest. I got a copy of the 3 mana 3/4 that becomes 2 mana if you have an opponent, well, if the opponent has a bounty unit in play. And other than that, I pretty much got a mercenary company and then a bunch of events that are either like stat boosts or capture effects. So they're all pretty situational cards, which is a shame because most of my leaders are in green. So I'm going to really struggle to build around that. When it came to green heroism cards, I literally pulled 2 cards, which is again annoying because the main green leader I'm wanting to play right now is Boba, because I think he is the strongest out of the 3 leaders I had available in green. But I just, you know, green Boba is not going to offer me much if I choose to go for that, because I don't have too many cards in the green heroism. I did get the 5 mana 4/6 ship in green heroism, which is a pretty good card for Sealed, but it's not going to be enough to carry it on its own, in my opinion. And then when it comes to green villainy, the main standout card is Jabba's Rancor, which again, if I don't play Jabba, which I'm probably not planning to, it's going to be much worse. And then the other 2 green villainy cards are pretty bad. So Moff Gideon is kind of looking like he doesn't bring all that much to the table either, unless I can splash some good other colour with him. And the same for Boba Fett right now. Although Boba Fett is kind of the front runner because of yellow, which we'll get into now. So yellow, I had some decent cards, and just in the single aspect yellow alone, we had some solid cards. We had like a couple of 1 and 2 drops, which is what we want to be seeing to fill out the early curve, and it's definitely what green was lacking. I don't think I pulled a single 2 drop in green at all. And then we get to the yellow heroism cards, and that is where things start to look really juicy, because I pulled like 7 or 8 cards there. And we got 2 Millennium Falcons, 2 of the 4 mana 4/4, when it swings you rest a unit. And I believe I also pulled a 3-mana 3/5, which is premium stats in constructed, so that's going to be good in sealed, right? So I'm really looking to make use of the yellow heroism cards if I can, but just because I don't have too many good green heroism cards, is kind of making me not want to play Boba, and just not very many good green cards in general. When it comes down to the yellow villainy cards, again, I've got some really hot stuff. We got a Dr. Evazan, which is an insane card in sealed because it's just an overstatted unit. And yes, it has the bounty that can potentially untap your opponent, but by the time that it triggers to give your opponent like a lot of value, you should already be in control of the board by that point anyways because of the overstatedness of the card. And that's sort of their best case scenario, and the worst case scenario is you can trade it in when you've taken initiative and you get a bunch of value out of it. And I also got 2 copies of the 3-mana 4/3 that when your opponent has a bounty, it gains a shield. And I'm sort of thinking, even if I don't play Jabba, there's going to be a lot of bounty units, because it's the bounty set, right? People are going to play bounties. So I got some decent stuff in yellow villainy. Looking at blue, I got a lot of blue cards. When it comes to the blue single aspect cards, again, I got some decent 2-drops here and there. I got the 2-mana 2/4 that's got a bounty that deals 3 damage that also gives you some experience. It's a weird one. And I got some understated 2-drops in single aspect blue as well, but just decent ones overall. And then I got a bunch of bounties that I'm probably not going to play. Again, I got 2 blue heroism cards there. I'm not going to go into those too much because, again, I'm not picking blue if I'm playing a heroism deck because I'm just running low on heroism cards outside of yellow right now. But when it comes to blue-black, again, I got some solid stuff, and you can see here, and I got quite a few again, so I got 6 cards there, I think, and we're looking at the Client, we're looking at the 6-mana ship, the Sentinel, that when it gets attacked, you can spit out experience tokens to people. We've got 2 Lom Pikes, which is going to be nice for dishing out shield tokens if I can give some of their like smaller guys shield tokens. We even pulled the 1-mana 1/4 Grit that has a bounty. We pulled like Super Commando Squad, which is great because it's a 5-mana 4/4 shield that can be Sentinel, real sticky to get through. Just some decent cards all around in in blue-black, sorry. When it comes to red, I didn't really pull very many red cards in general. I think I pulled, in villainy, I pulled the 1-mana 2/3 bounty that lets your opponent draw a card. I pulled Headhunting, which I can't even remember what the card does. I think it's like a worse Rebel Assault or something. In Red Heroism, I genuinely don't remember what I pulled because they were so bad. In Single Aspect Red, again, I had the same sort of issue as Green, where I had a lot of events. The events weren't necessarily too bad. It was things like attack with a unit, it gets +2 attack, or deal 2 damage somewhere. But it was just the same issue that I wasn't going to have any sort of early game curve if I picked into red, because my units weren't really there. I had maybe a couple of 4-drops and that's about it. And the events that were in red are not really offering me all that much to make me swing to red either. So right now I'm looking at my cards and I'm thinking, okay, my main 2 colors are blue and yellow, right? That's where most of my power cards lie. I've got some strong cards in blue-black. I've got some strong cards in yellow-black. I've got some strong cards in single aspect blue as well. I've even got like a Rivals Cool in there, I believe. But just some decent like overall curve cards. My my blue heroism cards are actually pretty good. I got the 2-mana 2/3 with Restore 1, and I got a 6-drop Wookiee in there, which is going to be a nice slam in the mid-game. We already know my yellow heroism cards are crazy. My yellow villainy cards are also crazy. And I think my single aspect yellow cards in general are just like decent. Again, early curve units and a couple of like removal pieces here and there is about it. So looking at my options there, it's kind of between like Fennec Mando and Gar Saxon to me. And I opt to go for Gar Saxon. The reason being is I'm kind of debating between... I'm almost comparing Gar Saxon to Boba in my head, and I'm thinking Gar Saxon kind of does everything that I want Boba to be doing, but I don't have to play green here, because looking at most of my units, the main keywords that I have between my blue cards and my yellow cards, which are the two colors that I'm looking at mainly, the main keyword that I have that would get a boost from Boba is shielded. And shielded is a crazy keyword to have if you're playing a Gar Saxon deck, because the shields count as upgrades, so you can bring a shielded unit in with an extra attack and then make a favorable trade, and then the unit's still there left over for you to trade into something after. So it comes out unscathed, which is just crazy. And then comparing Gar Saxon to Fennec and Mando, which were my two other options, when it came to Fennec, again, I just don't like the fact that she's a 4/4. I didn't feel like I had good aggressive cards to try and capitalize on her early flips, so the fact that her stats are so bad, to me, just made me feel like I wouldn't be able to capitalize on her as a leader, and I'd just get controlled out if I played her because I'd lose so much value from the fact that she's a 4/4. When it came to Mando, I was looking at Mando and I was thinking, this leader would be great, but my upgrades are not great. Looking at my blue upgrades, it was a bunch of 1 mana +1/+1s that make units Mandalorians, which is an okay card, but it's not worth a card almost. And that's kind of all I had for upgrades. I had a 2 mana +2/+2 when you attack, the defender gets exhausted. But I only had one copy of that card. So looking at my upgrades overall, Mando is not going to get very much value with his leader skill, whereas Gar Saxon is, because I've got a bunch of shielded units, and that will trigger off of Gar Saxon where it won't trigger off of Mando. So here you can see what I decide to do, which is my preferred way of doing things rather than sorting things by cost. I think sorting things by card cost can be really helpful, but I tend to just do that in my head whilst I'm looking through the colors anyways. So I would recommend to sort by card cost when deciding what leader and what base to play, because that can definitely help you figure out where your early curve lies. But what I like to do here, especially once I've sorted my what leader and what base I want to play, as you can see here, I decided to go with Gar Saxon and a yellow base. I decided to sort my cards into yes, maybe, and no. And it's a very simplified method, but it really does just sort my cards into, these cards are very good, I'm definitely playing these. These cards are situationally good, I could maybe play these, and these cards are never going to be good, I do not want to touch these if I can help it. And so most of the cards end up being in the yes pile, which once you've picked your leader and base is what you want, because if most of your cards for that color combination aren't in the yes pile, then you've probably picked the wrong leader or base. And you can see I've got 5 cards in the maybe pile, 2 of those being the 1 mana +1/+1 upgrades, which I'm still kind of considering because of Gar Saxon. When he's flipped, I can maybe get some value off of them by playing an upgrade on a unit, trading it in, and then grabbing the upgrade back. But also I have a couple of 1-drops, which the upgrade early on would be great to make use of Gar Saxon's ability. And I'm looking through some of my neutral cards as well, because I decide I don't like the idea of the upgrades, and I also have 2 of the bounties, or 3 bounties actually, in the maybe pile of the last 3 cards. And I decide I don't like the idea of those, I don't think the payoff is too great. So I go into my neutral cards, I end up adding in just a couple of early drops, a 2 mana 3/2 ship, a 2 mana 3/3 overwhelm that deals 2 damage to a friendly unit when it comes into play, a 3 mana 3/2 sentinel ship, and then a 5 mana 4/4 that adds back an underworld from the discard. And I have a couple of underworld targets because I'm in yellow, and blue has a couple as well, I believe. So I'm like, that's pretty good. I also end up adding a red card in because it has a smuggle yellow skill, which is actually really important to see for this set, is checking those smuggle costs. And it ends up basically being a 1 mana more expensive surprise strike, which unfortunately we didn't pull any copies of, would have been lovely. But it's a +2 attack upgrade that if you smuggle it in, then you get to attack with the unit immediately. So with Gar Saxon's skill, it's +3 attack, so it's effectively like a 3 mana surprise strike. So I decided that that's kind of going to be my finisher. And then looking through my deck here, you can see I'm kind of going through it here. I've got some good early drops. I ended up having 9 turn 1 plays, so that's 1-drops and 2-drops. And then quite a few 3-drops as well, like 6 or 7 I believe. We've got some good top end in Enfys Nest, the 6-mana ship, Sentinel, and then Lom Pike is just a crazy card in the mid game, especially with Gar-Saxon's ability giving all of the shielded units I have +1 attack. So I'm really trying to take control of the board and then dig for that like pseudo surprise strike as a finisher, and that's kind of the game plan that I'm looking at here. And I think generally mid-range decks, which is what I've built here, are really solid to build in pre-release. I think if you're a good player and you can spot the favorable trades, then generally mid-range decks are going to be a good way to either capitalize on that or learn how to do that, because they allow for that the easiest. They're not just refined to one strategy of either go face or control the board. You can kind of be a lot more flexible whether you try and race them down or try and control the board, depending on the matchup and the game state. But yeah, that ends up being the deck that I create. I'm sorry I couldn't go over it in more detail. I would have loved to, but I wanted to keep the video short to here. But yeah, you can kind of see me scroll through the cards and get a decent idea of what the cards are in there, hopefully, along with the cards that I've been talking about. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video there. Like I say, I did manage to go undefeated with this deck, and I should have another video similar to this up on either my own channel or the Nexus channel, depending on where this goes up, so you can check that out as well. Like I say, hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.